This is Dr. Quinlan with Quinlan Chiropractic Clinic from Coppell, Texas, and you're listening to the Dunham Business Radio Show.
Live from Arlington, Texas, it's the Dunham Business Radio Show. And here's your host, Lori Dunham.
I am so excited you're here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please ping your friends. Let them know that we are here. We have another amazing guest. Actually, we have two guests tonight, and we're going to be talking about something that's really, really important to all of us, and that is healthcare and access to it. And so, it's really just one of those topics that we don't talk about enough. And then when we do talk about it, it's not in this concept. So, ping your friends, let them know we're here. Drop your questions in the box for our guests because they are very engaging and they want to answer your questions. But as you might remember, Dunham Business Radio is also hosting young adults around the world an opportunity to come on and co-host with me here on Dunham Business Radio. And so welcome back. She's been here many times before. She's one of our fan favorites, Loiane Bessa from Brazil. Hello and welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here again, Lori. Thank you so much.
I'm so excited. You're really a fan favorite. We get emails about you all the time. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a good experience, English is not my native language, so it's not my first language, and sometimes it's hard, but we're here to learn and to have a conversation, and I'm growing a lot with our meetings, and let's do it.
Yeah, you're doing great. I can understand you, so that says a lot.
That's fine for me.
So for those who have not met you before, tell them just a little blurb about who you are and where you are.
Yes. Okay. I'm in Brazil right now. I live in Brasilia. It's the capital here. And I was Lori's exchange student for some months, right? And I've learned a lot about business with her. I am a psychologist. And yes, I have a news for you. My cousin that is dealing with cancer, she started her own nonprofit organization. And yes, I'm working with her. I'm volunteering as a psychologist. And, all that we've been talking here is helping me a lot with that. And yeah, that's all. Thank you so much.
Wow.
I'm excited.
What'd you say?
I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited to have you here too. You're always engaging with the guests, and we have such great positive feedback. So thank you so much for taking your time. I really hope it's an enriching experience for you, and your English is great. So don't worry about a thing. You're doing great.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about today. We have some fabulous guests. And as I mentioned in the very beginning, it's this topic, topic of healthcare is for reasons unknown. Like, I don't understand why it's such a hard thing to talk about. But these folks that are coming on today are going to help us understand that a little bit more. They have a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and they focus in that. So first, I want to introduce Irina Alexander. She and I know each other from the business aspect of things. We're in a very similar networking group. We help refer businesses out, and so that's how we met. But she is an international motivational business speaker with over 10 years of entrepreneurship experience. She comes to us from the USSR, and she moved to the United States in 2009 And like you, English is not her first language. It's actually her third language. So really exciting to have multilingual folks on the show. It's always great. We are international, so
diversity.
Yeah, diversity for sure. Yeah. So Irina is in the top 1.6% of all women-owned businesses in the United States. She's vice president of her BNI chapter, which is a business networking group. She is the first place recipient of the Notable Networker Award in recognition of outstanding performance. And she's an ambassador with the Round Rock Chamber of Commerce in Round Rock, Texas. She currently hosts a networking group and has had such amazing, success in that area. And so I want to welcome to the show, Irina Alexander. Hello and welcome to the Dunham Business Radio Show.
Hi guys, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak and be in front of you and all of your audience.
It's so great to have you on today, and you're not here alone. So let me introduce you, everyone, to your co-guest. Is that such a word, co-guest?
Friend. Let's call him a friend and a partner in crime.
Your friend, partner in crime, and co-guest. We make up words on the show. So we're starting our own dictionary of Dunham Business Radioisms.
That's an international show, so
yeah,
that's right. And so today we're also welcoming Amin Salahuddin. He is president and CEO of Eixsys Incorporated, Eixsys Healthcare Systems Incorporated. Project was launched in 2012 in search of a purpose of getting a second chance to live. We're going to learn more about his story and why that was important. And he officially formed Eixsys Healthcare Systems in April of 2014. And he's going to come on and tell us a little bit more about his vision and his purpose and everything related to the healthcare and why he started. So everyone, please make welcome Amin to the show. Hello and welcome.
Hi, everyone. And thank you, Laurie, for inviting me, giving this opportunity to speak to current, the host, co-host, and your audience as well. So I really appreciate for all this time that you're going to give to me and finding out about Eixsys Healthcare System.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. And anytime we can spotlight a nonprofit organization that's making an impact in the world like you, we're happy to do it. Delighted, actually. So why don't we just jump right in? Tell me a little bit more about who you are and how in the world did you get started in this with a background in computer technology?
Well, it's a long story. It might take years to explain, but I'm going to do my best to explain in a couple of minutes. So there might be some overlaps, things that will happen. Basically, in life, if you see, if you have discovered the purpose of life, why you are doing this, your existence and all that, and that is the key thing. Those things you can discover, like the purpose. It could be by age, like the older you get, then you gain wisdom, and that's where you figure out, okay, what is true purpose. But the key is if you can discover that in the early years, that is the key, and then you can do a lot good in this world. The purpose of life, I see it as, there is worshiping God. Whichever, whoever the individual worship, they go to the same source. We call it in different names. So it's worshiping God. And then the second part is making a living, living a life, family, friends, education, advancement, civilizations, all those things, you make a living. So that's the second thing. The third thing is you give back. If you worship, you had made a living, and then you give back, because you can't give what you don't have. So that's when you give back. now, so looking for my experience, so I see those three things, and coming to the giving back mode, like how will you get something that you can give back? And that is where, you know, you have realized that this is the key aspect of the life. So learning in the early, like, purpose of the life, that why are you existed, right? So it could be, as I mentioned, by age, or a tragedy that's happened in life that, you know, you will refocus everything. Or if a person went through hardship and went to that realization that how important is giving back to the community. Or someone goes into that education, you know, learning, like Loyani, like learning about, you know, psychology. You know, when you are learning that, now you understand the importance of what builds a society. You know, the worshiping part, making a living a life, and then giving back. So that is something, you know, that's where you discover why you're doing things. So in my life, you know, when I was 7 years old, there was in England, we moved to London, and I was coming back from school, and there was a guy driving really fast, and he hit me, and I flew 30 feet and dropped on my head and stomach, and that's it. And when I was rushed to the hospital, and the team of doctors came, and they said, you know, there is no way that I will survive. And they removed me from the life support, and they said, because this child is done. But, you know, there is God, there is miracles that do happen, and I survived. I survived that horrible accident. So that was a tragedy. But it was in early years that, you know, at 7, you know, kids forget about it. But, you know, then it comes, you know, your upbringing, how your parents, you know, reminds you that, you know, this is what happened, and there must be a purpose for you. So I remember that, you know, I was reminded that what the doctor, when I was being discharged after a couple of months, you know, in living in the hospital, that, you know, the doctor said that God has a purpose for you. There is a purpose for you to exist. But I don't know, nobody knew what is a purpose. We have to find that purpose ourselves. So for that, you know, I began my journey, you know, being reminded by the parents. Obviously, all parents want success for their children. You know, how their early childhood education is, what is their development, you know, what they will become. So it's a very important part in a child's, you know, upbringing. So living that life, you know, as a child, and knowing that, you know, the third aspect, giving back, that you can't give what you don't have. So you have to have something. So my passion was, you know, how can I have something? So, you know, I always thought, you know, being an entrepreneur is something that you can achieve, things that you can achieve while you're working Monday to Friday. And that's where I started doing a for-profit business. In my back of the mind, you know, in order to launch a nonprofit, you need to have funding. And how you will get the funding, my thing was, I need to work and save, and that's how I will develop, you know, funds to launch a giving back to the community project. So I did that, you know, when I was in high school, so we moved from England, and we moved to New York. So my high school was in New York, and during this high school, I said, I'm going to save money. So I worked while I was in high school, and I worked for New York Times, giving out, not as a columnist. I was just distributing the newspaper. So I was a paper boy.
I had a paper route.
Yeah, I had a paper
route. My very first job is a paper route. Yeah.
So we have one thing in common.
I got it. Yeah.
So I saved some money, and I launched my first business when I was after high school. I was 19-year-old, and so excited about business, but it failed. It failed really bad. I lost all my money that I saved, but I didn't lose the purpose. Why did I do that business? And then I said, no, I need to get education. So I went for computer science. I said, I'm gonna go to college. First, I wasn't deciding to go to college. I said, I'm gonna do business. And that's where I went into college, did my bachelor in computer science. And then I started the second business. And that was, the first one was import-export of goods. And the second was in retail. And that was, I launched when I was 27 years old. And that also failed. So the first one failed within the first year. The second one failed. It failed after 2 years. Business fails for many reasons. It's just, but it taught me good lesson. The first one, the second one, but when it failed the second time, it failed really bad because the first one I was single, and the second business I was married.
Uh-oh, now you got your wife to answer too.
Yes.
That's sometimes the hardest punishment.
So, but it failed, and again, the business failed. But why I was doing the business, my reason why I'm doing this, so that is still motivated me. But throughout the life, as I was growing, then after that I had my first daughter. After that business, so I went back into workforce. I started consulting, but still in back of my mind, in the subliminal mind, I still need to build a giving back to the community entity. And so, but I got too much indulged in my life that I forgot about the third aspect of giving back, when you're living. And everything I think was phasing out until one day, I was taking my daughter for a walk, and all of a sudden, I lost the grip of her hand, and she ran on the street.
Oh no!
And luckily, there was no car, and I grabbed her, and right there, I realized my life, what happened to me. And, I forgot about, working on that side, but that incident, I just said, I'm going to take another chance now. And I have to, fulfill, what I was thinking, the purpose of life. Worship is one thing, making a living, an honest living, that is the second. Having friends, work, all that, making progress in the world. That's the second part. But, I need to work back on the giving back part. So at that time, I decided, I'm going to quit my job. And so my wife said that, how can we do that? So that you need solid income, and we have a daughter. We are expecting the second child, But, you know, what I went through, a tragedy, right? And it came back to me that, you know, I need to do something in my lifetime. I was given a second chance. For what? So I decided I'm going to quit my job, and I went to my work, and I talked to my manager and said, you know, this is what I'm going to do. I come back after a couple of days, and here's my resignation letter, and I need to start my business so I can earn the extra money, and then I can build a nonprofit.
Wow.
I did that. It was not easy.
No.
Yeah, after that, you know, like, yeah. But so in 2010, that's when I took that brave step, took the third chance of starting a business. This time it was in the software development. So the key is, you know, the first two business I was doing, it was not in my field. This third one that I did, this is what I studied. And so I started this third business. I knew more about business administration by that time, because after my second business field, I went to do MBA. And that's what helped me to understand from a business side. And after my MBA, I went into doing my doctorate of business administration, and was in healthcare. So my launch of the business was actually my dissertation, and it was healthcare. And at that time, you know, in US, and the whole healthcare was shifting. It was shifting because the Affordable Care Act was introduced, where Affordable Care Act was a government subsidiary. So coming back in the healthcare, you need to know about the healthcare, and that's why I went into developing this healthcare system. So I knew about the healthcare. My field was in IT. My education was in IT, but I landed on a job in healthcare IT, and also as the administrative side. And that's where, you know, when I launched my business, was in healthcare IT. And the first 2 years was really struggling, part because there was no income coming in. It was just expenses of taking care, you know, of a family. But it was, I'm not going to go into the struggle part. I'm just going to show the beautiful part.
Well, no, the whole thing about being in business is the struggle and the good side. So,
yes.
You know, sharing about your struggles could really benefit other people. So, I mean, you don't have to dive deep into the negative, but, you know, what are some challenges that you learned by, you know, leaving a job and going strictly into this nonprofit? You know, you were mostly expenses, so you were living off your savings or your retirement or something along those lines.
Yes, there was all sort of, you know, savings that I did, you know, while doing consulting. And so I was also in real estate investment. So I had bought a few properties. So there was, that helped. But when I left the job and I had to sell my properties, because in the first 2 years there was no sales. It was marketing. So the business aspect is you know, how are you going to do sales? You have to have the market. You have, you know, marketing needs to be there, and then people will buy your product. Once you have the product, you have to have that cycle, how the production cycle, how you're going to enter into that phase. So there are different phases of business. They evolve as you grow. So the first, you know, getting the sales, the first sale was hard to get, because they're in healthcare. When you have a healthcare system, you know, things were changing. So I think the timing was not right for me, because it was a new law that was introduced. Nobody knew about it. My dissertation was on that, you know, how a patient information from one hospital system can be transformed into another hospital system. So the issue was interoperability, that one system doesn't talk to another. So if I am, forget about, traveling from one state to another state and knowing that what is my medical background, it's impossible. But forget about traveling even from across the street. If there is one hospital system and then it's a total different hospital system, they won't know about my information. And if I am unconscious, who will transfer that knowledge to that medical provider? And that's where, without a doctor knowing about the medication, sometimes, people die because of drug overdose or because of the allergy that people have. So if the person is unconscious, they don't know. The other physician is all about saving that life. But if the patient is allergic to that medication or already had that medication, and people die because of that. So that was a problem in the healthcare. And not only that was a problem, there was another problem. The other problem was that the Affordable Care Act only helped those people who make income over a certain level. So there is a federal poverty level. So for example, about $12,000, if a person is single, they must make more than $12,000 a year. If they make less than $12,000 a year, there is no government subsidy for them. So that was on the federal level. And then on the state level, there is Medicaid, which helps the poor. Certain states, about half of the state, refuse to expand on Medicaid. So it means if the person is poor, there is no Medicaid for them.
That's
so
right.
Basically, they have no health insurance. So if they are poor, how will they pay for their healthcare cost? They won't.
That's
will
right.
they buy food for them or their children, or they will go to take care of their health? So people won't do that. So that was a problem. That was an evolving problem at that time. Now things are different, right? So I'm talking in 2010, but so at the same time I was launching my business and with this thing in mind that I need to establish this healthcare entity. So after two years, in those 2 years, I lost, all my savings. There was one property was left, and I said, I still have something there, but I faced a lawsuit, a civil lawsuit in business, and I wasn't prepared for that. So, when you start a business, you don't look at from a legal side. So I will always recommend or advise, an young entrepreneur, look at from a legal aspect as well. Have an attorney or legal counsel look at your documents, your agreements, and all that. You will save a lot in the future. So that's what happened, and whatever I had the remaining saving, I lost all of that too. But I survived, and so the hard times were over after 2 years, and then we landed on big contract. We spent money on marketing. Marketing was the key, and we landed on software development contracts. And then as soon as those first 2 years were passed, the first project income that we received, and that's where in 2012 I launched the nonprofit Eixsys Healthcare System. That was the purpose of why I started the business, and so that was the first. With that first income, this is what I did. And since then, I've been giving back to this nonprofit and expanding that Now we are in a different stage of healthcare. In Texas, we have about 4.3 million Texans who don't have health insurance. It's a big number. And the Eixsys Healthcare System, what it does, it partners with community centers. And that's our model. Basically, we are partnering with community centers like religious faith-based organizations. Because if you see a church, a temple, mosque, their congregation happens once a week. Right? What happens with their facility the remainder of the week? It's just vacant. So if we can work with those community centers, and in those community centers, if we have physicians, if they have physicians there, and those physicians, if they can volunteer their time, and so we can actually bridge that gap, and we can provide basic healthcare service to those who don't have health insurance, just because they are poor. And people can fall in that category for many reasons. Like if they lost their job, and in that time frame they don't have health insurance, and if something happens to them, then they're already at the bottom line, they will go in negative because they have to pay for their expenses. They have to take care of their health.
Yeah.
So it could be because of that reason, and they don't have help, or they are in some calamity happened, financial hardship that they are facing. It could be because of that, and so there could be many reasons why people don't have health insurance. But sometimes it's only a temporary time frame that they don't have health insurance. But if something happens to them in that time frame, then it's just the slope is just down the hill. They just go down. It's very hard to recover from that. So that's what we do in Eixsys Healthcare System. We partner with local community centers, physicians in those community centers, and we partner with hospitals, because as a safety net. So if someone doesn't have health insurance, their primary care doctor is ER room. When they go to ER room, that's a burden on taxpayer.
Right.
So this is a problem in the healthcare that, yes, why is healthcare so expensive? Because, where you can take a simple, less cost-effective route, going to a primary care, if they are available, versus going to ER. If someone needs their blood pressure medication or diabetes medication, they don't need to go to ER. They can actually have a primary care, and that's what we do in Eixsys Healthcare System. It's a volunteer-based organization, and everyone is a volunteer. We have 3 locations like that we have established. Our goal is to establish 200 of them around the U.S. and working with the other community volunteers. So we partner with medical schools, nursing schools, if they can send their students to the free clinic. Physicians, if they can volunteer 3 hours in a month. So actually we ask for every other month if a physician can donate 3 hours, and at least we can bridge that gap. So we try to see, treat patients who are really poor, who fall in that gap of poverty, below poverty level. And that's what we are doing in the nonprofit side. Our goal is to expand that. We want, because there is a threshold of how many patients can we see in a clinic. So based on a volunteer-based system, right? So we experience that we can't handle more than 400 patients because then there are calls that are ongoing calls that comes in. It's hard to maintain that. So more than 400, we came up with another project, which is called HUG project. is helping underserved generously. So this is a partnership that we are trying to form with donors and those who are underserved, that they can at least, get connected to a full-time primary care doctor. So that is what we are trying to do. But, that's another chapter to discuss what we are headed. But the formation of the nonprofit, why I formed the nonprofit, I think that was your question, and I wanted to explain and taking all that journey from my childhood, my business experiences, and why I was doing the business. I was not doing the business to make money. Yes, making money is important because I had to give back and take that philanthropy route of life, and how can we establish, that model. So yes, I have a for-profit business, and it is successful, software development company. Its name is Eixsys, and Eixsys Healthcare System is named after Eixsys. And Eixsys is not, there is a country song, "All My Exes Lives in Texas." It's not named after that. It's electronic interoperable exchange system. It's about the problem that US had about interoperability. So it's named after that, and that's what we formed Eixsys Healthcare System. And when people know about why it was formed, and we saw that a lot of volunteers are coming because of knowing the cause. So it's a right cause. There is a need. There is a gap in healthcare right now. About 40 plus million individuals around US don't have health insurance. And in Texas itself is 4.3 million. And numbers are high. And where are they going to get that funding? Government doesn't have that funding. How that money is going to be coming to the government's office through tax. There is a limit of charging people tax. It's just, you can't keep on increasing tax. Then people have to make a living as well. So you have to come up with an alternate model, the sustainability model. So this is what we are evolving into. How do you sustain a nonprofit? Nonprofit, don't think that is only run by charity, right? It is an entity itself as well that has to look at the sustainability model, and also you have to put some burden on the patient as well. So it's a mutual system. And obviously in America, we are experiencing all those ups and downs in healthcare. People are trying to figure out what is the right approach. Is it a complete government funded infrastructure? Where is the money is going to come from? If we make it what there is in Canada or other parts of the world, there is a government sponsored healthcare. Do we go into that model? But now who's going to pay for it? Somebody has to pay for it, right? And somebody has to be held responsible for it as well. So there are debates. Now healthcare is a partisan topic. Each political party takes a different approach on solving the issue, and many times it just becomes a political issue, which is not a political issue. It's a human issue, right? It's a basic human rights issue. And how do we solve that? And this is what Eixsys Healthcare System is going towards. At least we can look at, if we have, right now we established 3. If we have 200 or more clinics established, at least we can see that model working, from a basic primary healthcare side. And thanks to Irina, when I mentioned to her, she said she wants to support this project, and she came on board with us a couple of months ago, and she's been helping us with different strategies. And it's not always about giving your money. I said, don't worry about the money. the main factor, the main commodity is time. If you can give your quality time to any nonprofit, and if it is for the right purpose, those nonprofit will succeed. Basically, they need manpower, and how to manage that. And this is what, if someone can volunteer and dedicate their time, success comes through that. So that is the journey. I don't want to switch the topic to a different question, right? So the more I talk, it will just switch to a different subject.
As you can figure out, he can talk nonstop.
I can talk nonstop. Yes.
Well, that's your passion for what you're doing. I mean, I'm not going to stop you. I mean, this is what this is about, is getting awareness out there, not just about your organization, but why. I mean, it's so important to understand the why behind what we do. And you're articulating that very well. And I think our audience is really enjoying it. And so I'll just jump in real quick and interject that if you've got questions for Amin or even Irina, she's going to come on here in just a minute, but please drop your questions or comments in there. And if we don't get to them by the end of the show, we'll certainly, get to them after the show, but certainly put your comments in there. And what are your thoughts about, Medicaid not being available in many, many states in the U.S. and the poverty line? And I guess I'll throw it back to Amin and Irina, if you want to jump in here, and let's talk about how COVID has impacted your business or your nonprofit. Are you seeing an uptick in cases because of COVID? And are you able to help people who've lost their jobs because of COVID? And talk a little bit about that. Have you had to change or pivot the way you do business in the healthcare arena?
Do you want me to?
Yeah, I can take that. So basically, yes, there is a shift. COVID did impact the nonprofit. The first impact was people stopped giving back, giving funds. So when you don't give funds to a 501c3, they won't operate the same way. But it's slightly different with our nonprofit because we have a for-profit business that funds this nonprofit. So that was not a big impact on our side. Yes, we lost a lot of donors, and we wish we can regain those donors for different ones. So we can continue our mission. Our whole mission is to establish multiple nonprofit clinics around US. So that's one impact that COVID did. The second was on patients did increase. People lost their jobs. And then when they lose their job, the employer offers COBRA. COBRA is not cheap. It's more expensive than your regular insurance. So it doesn't make sense. I don't know if it makes sense to somebody who lost their job and they're going to pay extra for insurance. Yeah. It's really hard. The second part of being impacted from COVID was increase in patient numbers. People who lost their jobs don't have health insurance anymore. Their children don't have health insurance. So numbers we see an increase there. So initially we did close our clinic down because everyone was in fear that what is an outcome? Nobody knew. There were a lot of unknowns. So during that, when we closed the clinic, we saw what is an alternate. So that's what pushed us into the becoming more innovative. And we made all our sketch. Before it was just walk-in. And then now we went on to, all online calendars, like pre-schedule your visit. Let us know why are you coming in up front or for a physician visit. We went into testing the digital stethoscope and digital otoscopes So we went into that transformation. We're not actually using them right now, but our clinic has went into telemedicine part, where the patient doesn't have to come in. It's more like 50-50 on telemedicine versus walk-in. So when it goes to telemedicine, so now we have more opportunity to see different types of patients who wants. Basically, they just need a refill of their medication, and that's the key that what we can help them with. So the numbers did increase on that side, and the third aspect which I mentioned was the innovation. We took utilizing more technology due to COVID. So there were three changes that we see in the donor and the patient in numbers increased, and how we advance in technology. Just like right now, we are now talking on Zoom, so that's an advancement. So same thing. So those are the three changes we saw.
So outside of the standard medical services, you talked about, medication refills and checkups. What are some other services you offer? Do you offer psychology services, counseling, nutrition, and talk about maybe some of the, I'll say this in a way that probably won't sound great, but some of the pushback from the pharmaceutical industry that, you're giving this stuff away for free. How are they making money? And have you been able to partner with pharmaceutical companies or other nonprofits that deal with the medications to be able to give those away, and other services that are out there?
So it's just a doctor's visit is free, and not the medication. We don't dispense medication. We just write prescriptions. And we have partnered with local pharmacies who have agreed to give those prescriptions at cost.
Oh.
So that's what they're doing, and the patient pays for that. At least that's the responsibility. If they can't pay for it, then we look at how much funding we have that we can take care of their medication. So we pay on their behalf. That is one. But that's we have to study the patient, the financial history on that. So we do help on that. From your question, how do we connect with other services? So like the psychiatrists. So we have partners that volunteer. So we have specialists. So we have a psychiatrist who has agreed to volunteer their time. Same thing with nutritionists. We have one nutritionist, so she helps us. Obviously, they can only donate certain number of hours, so they can only take certain patient to help them with their nutritional advice. We have other partners that for radiology services, so we write orders, and we have they do it at cost. Like you can do an X-ray for $50, or MRI for $200-300. Usually with the insurance, it's about $2,000-3,000.
Right.
And same thing with MRI, CAT scan. It's very affordable route that we refer. And again, if the patient can't pay, that's where we will come in and we will pay on their behalf. So just from a basic side, but we don't pay for. Our services does not include surgeries. We're just a primary care medical facility, and nothing on that side. We don't go into the specialist side or surgical side.
That's really great. So I can kind of see the picture coming together. You know, you've got the ER trauma center, that's not you. The urgent care, you hurt yourself, it's an accident, that's not you. And so you are the primary care model for people who have no insurance, right? That's just basically boiled down to that concept right there.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's you can say that's more than half of the healthcare cost, because preventative healthcare is the key.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Irina.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you guys meet, and how are you partnering together now?
Yeah, it's a great question, because we originally met at the Ramrock Chamber of Commerce, and I knew a little bit about Eixsys Healthcare as being an ambassador there. I heard about it. Well, I heard it's a free healthcare for people in need. Later on, I think early this year, Amin reached out. We met, and he said, you know, let's cooperate. Let's see how, you know, we can grow it, and if I'm interested. And I was absolutely interested, because seeing the world differently by traveling and seeing how healthcare system works in different countries, I keep saying that healthcare system in America unfortunately broke so badly that it needs help. And if I can do something to help in a certain way, you know, volunteering, it will make me feel better. It makes some meaning into my life. So for me, it was a great cause. So we decided to partner up. We have several projects. You know, when COVID hit, it was, how do we get money? Because when originally I come in, I said, I know nothing about nonprofit. I'm all for profit. You know, I'm all for business for profit. Yeah. I have masters in business. I've been running businesses. And he told me, it's like, it still runs as a business, because we need funding. We need money to operate and do what we need to do in order to grow. We need money. So it's constant battle of how do we get money, like in any business. If you want to grow, you need that kind of money to invest to grow. So that was one of the things. The other thing is, I said, I know nothing about healthcare. It's not, and he made a joke about me running a heating and air conditioning company. And he said, well, when you started the HVAC company, did you know anything about it? And I said, well, yeah, you're 100% right. I only knew how to turn it on and turn it off and make it cool or hot, but that's it. So that you will learn. You're a smart girl. So I just appreciated his confidence and said that absolutely, I would love to help and see. I'm a connector. I love to connect people. I like to think outside of the box and work with what we have to figure out the way how we can make it work and how we can spread the word and just get more people involved and get to know about each other. And that way, you know, it's kind of like a snowball. So that's where I came in play. And when COVID hit, because we were planning to do a big fundraising gala where we would award our doctors that had been volunteering their time for years, and that didn't happen. So we had to become creative and figure out the way, how can we get money, how we can still service those people. And that's where Hug Project came in play. That's some other projects and fundraising, social media. We started being more active on social media and just spreading the word. And that's how I reached out to you when you sent about, you know, you would like to connect with nonprofits to be on your radio show. I was like, that's us. So that's where I come and play. Is I'm still learning my way in, because healthcare is completely new industry for me. And there are so many laws and requirements and things that you can and cannot say. Like one of my questions was like, why do we still use a fax? For me, it's like nobody uses fax anymore. And he's like, well, it's not us. It's really a requirement. We have to, because that's the only secure way to send information. So I'm still learning my way in, but I'm treating it as a business so we can get money, so we can grow. We can be 200 clinics nationwide. And we have a plan on bringing dental in. That's one of the projects we're working on. And the big one is obviously a Hug Project, helping underserved generously, where we would like people to be a donor sponsors for one of the people in need, as simple as it's only $100 a month, but for that $100, person can pretty much have unlimited primary care with blood work and scans or whatever they need to. It's pretty affordable for a lot of people to donate $100 a month, and it can change and help and save somebody's life.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had a number of folks on our show that I'm thinking about right now that could be great partners for you. My dentist was on here. He does missions work and nonprofit work as well. And there's funding solution partners that you saw maybe in the beginning that could help you with getting funding. And there's all kinds of businesses on here that I too am a connector, right? So I connect and promote, and I solve business problems across multiple platforms. That's what I do. So, just coming on here, I think, is the first step to getting the word out through to our audience. And, and I'm going to speak directly to the audience right now. If you are interested in partnering with Eixsys Healthcare Systems and getting the word out, or partnering in a financial position, the need is great. And so I'm encouraging you, just drop your information in there. They'll be monitoring the box over the next, couple of days, and they can hit you up on Messenger, and you don't have to say exactly what you want to do. Just say, I'm interested, tag me, get me, call me, whatever. They'll reach out to you, and worst case, you call me. I'll find out how to reach out to my audience as well. And well, Yanni, you haven't had much of an opportunity to jump in. What is your perspective on all of this? I know it's U.S. healthcare based.
Yeah, but that was amazing. It was good to hear about when he was talking about tragedies. And sometimes in life, we have to give another meaning for that, So we have obstacles. We all have hard times. But we have to have this in mind. Don't lose your focus. Don't lose your purpose. And don't lose your spouse, right? And your family as well. So keep in mind that you can do it. And wow, that was amazing. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's really great. I'm going to switch the view a little so all three of us are on the screen, because I want to talk a little bit more about your why. And Amin, you talked about this, how you had a triggered moment that reminded you of your childhood on something that happened that it potentially was tragic, but it turned out to be actually really great for all of us that you're still here. So this recently, I had an opportunity to go to a conference, and one of the things they talked about was having a why. And so I went and I grabbed my little notebook here. And there's 5 questions. And so if you're out there in the audience, you're like, oh, well, that's really great for them. They've got a why. And how do I even know what my why is? I'd like to talk about that for just a minute to help identify your why, because the why you do something, the why behind it is going to drive you when you don't have money. It's going to drive you when you are feeling like it's not going to work out. It's going to drive you when you have critics. It's going to drive you when you have no support, when you feel all alone. This why is going to be the fuel that's in your belly that is just not going to go away. And so many times, we talked about finding our why. If we can find it early in life, great. But then life gets in the way. It interferes with our why, and we put it aside, but it always comes back, right? And that's what happened with Amin. He had it, and then he started living life, and then got in the way, and now, had to be reminded of his why. And so I just want to, being a business show, it's always good to know the challenges and the struggles along the journey. And the way that you know for sure what you want to do in business, regardless of what that topic is you got to have a why. And so this conference that I went to, basically it's find out what your why is. And you ask yourself 5 questions, right? So the first thing is regarding talent. what do I do well? Then desire, what do I want to do? Recognition, what do others say that you do well? And so whether you think you do well or not, you know, where are you getting the most feedback from people and recognition? Regarding results or excelling in a certain area, what do you do that has a productive return? What are you good at? What do you want to do? What do other people say you do? And where do you have production or excellent results? And then in growth, what do you do that can keep getting better? So you're not just stuck on the first step. You're always moving forward. What is that one thing you can do? And then once you know your purpose, then you're able to help and lead other people on. And here's the sweet spot about having a why. And I think you guys could probably talk about this, but the sweet spot is when you think about your why, your heart beats faster. It compels you to do things that you would seem to be a little insane to other people. So what are your thoughts about it? Did you find your why in those areas, and does your heart beat a little faster when you think about helping other people with healthcare?
Definitely. You know, all those 5 points you mentioned, those are the key. You know, and the main thing is that how strong is your why, right? And do you really believe in your why, right? So there is a background on that why, right? And because sometimes people change their mind, and they had that why and it didn't work, and they come up with a different approach. So those are, you know, they're not strong enough, right? So sometimes you really have to dig deep. Is that your true reason why you're doing it? Right? It has to be authentic. It has to be also practical, right? Not like having a why. I want to go to Mars, and you know, I want to build a 5-story building there. Yeah, you know. So, and that's why I'm doing something, right? So you have to have the why that is practical, right? And something, yeah, you have to have a vision. Vision has to be, you know, just like a dream, you know, like, can it be accomplished, right? So it has to be the reasonable why. And you have, but it's not going to be that simple that now it's done. Okay, what's next, right? So, and as you mentioned, the 5th point of growth, you know, is it that you just achieved it, right? And now what, right? So whys are not like that. You know, what is the growth factor of that why? So you have to really think about it. You know, why is just not, it's simple to say, but you know, you have to really go. Basically, if you have you know, a mentor, you know, in the business, that they will actually carve out that why, get the true purpose of that. And so that's my say. I don't know, Irina might have a different opinion.
I would agree with you guys. There's a great book I read about a year or two ago, Millionaire Habits, and there's a great exercise called seven Levels Deep, and it's actually about your why. So what's your main goal? Like, I want to make $1 million, for example, and then you start asking why do you want to make $1 million? And after you answer that, it's like, okay, I want to buy a beautiful house. Why do you want to, you know, buy a beautiful house? So it keeps you thinking and actually get to your real why, because only real why gonna help you going when you're really down on your knees. You know, all those money, they won't get you going, because you need to find the real why, what keeps you moving. And as for me, I was not always a giver. I got to that stage, I grew into that, because originally I was raised by a single mom, and it's just me, and I have to do whatever it takes, which I did. And in my business, I was also very selfish because I was doing everything myself. And once I realized that I can't grow as big business as I want to without help of others, without including other people and sharing with them. So we all participate in that. And then I realized that I actually love to work together. I love to inspire other people. And that's when I got to the level where, okay, if you would come to me before, I would say like, well, you know, I figured it out myself and you can figure it out as well. I would at that point, where now I say, I went through all of that and now I want to share my experience. And if I can help you to avoid those mistakes, I would be gladly do so. So for me, it was a growing experience. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So you absolutely must, you know, do self-development, personal development, pour in yourself as much as you can, because it's like a portable charger. You cannot charge other people. You cannot give if you don't have anything. If a portable charger, you have to charge it first in order to charge your phone. The same with yourself. You have to charge yourself first. You have to invest in yourself first in order to give. You need to make your business growing, like Amin did, in order to invest it in nonprofit and support it financially. So that's me.
No, that's wonderful. Yeah. And that's right in line. So thank you all for talking about that. And so we're coming up on the hour. I think we're probably even just a few minutes over, but I really want to give our audience an opportunity to engage with you, to find out exactly what it is you need. What I like to ask this of everybody that comes on, you know, what do you need right now between now and the end of the year? What would you say is your financial need, your volunteer need? How can we as a community help you?
So right now, you know, we are in one of the free clinic here in Austin. We have reached the limit of how much volunteer can give back. So the patient, so as I mentioned, we had 400, that was our limit. Right now we have 900. So it's 500 extra patient there. So obviously the growth was exponential in serving the poor. What we need is, that's why we launched the HUG project, that those 500 patients, we will identify who have chronic conditions, diabetes, asthma, that they need full-time care. And so we need to connect them with a direct primary care provider. So there is another model, which is the DPC, that, you know, you have a medical home, basically your primary care, a full-time primary care provider. And that's what we want to do. And we are looking for people. Our target is to reach, to help, the financial goal to help those 500 individuals that we can, with chronic condition, who fall under that financial burden of sustaining their health, like because of the lack of financial means. We want to connect them to a direct primary care provider. Though we are not a direct primary care provider, we're just a healthcare system. We're trying to bridge that gap. So we are looking for direct primary care providers who can say, this is the discounted rate that I can help those patients that you have on a full-time basis. Right? Mm-hmm. And we're looking for donors who can come in and donate those funds that we can take care of not only their direct primary care needs, their blood works, and then their radiology needs. So we are looking for those, how can we help those 500 patients and connect them with a primary care, a full-time primary care provider that can actually help them. So that is our needs, that how can we reach that goal.
And if I may add a little bit to that, for HUG project, It's $100 a month to sponsor one person. So it's very affordable for a lot of people. And like I said, will change life for others. Also, I know it's entrepreneur, pretty much our radio show we're in is for entrepreneurs, but I know a lot of you have spouses and friends. If they work in the major companies like Microsoft, Apple, Samsung, Dell, and so on, those companies actually do an employee match. So if you donate $100, they will match it and donate $100 as well. Some of them even triple that. So for us, if you donate from there, obviously everything is tax deductible. And for us, it will mean a lot to bring those money so we can help people in need. Connecting with primary care providers, connecting with even dentist clinics or somebody who can donate or help us with equipment and supplies. So all kinds of donations are obviously welcome in the healthcare industry. We are really open. And also, as Amin mentioned before, our big goal is 200 clinics nationwide, and we are basing them, off the community centers. So that would be a great connection for us as well. If you liked our model, if you liked what you heard and you want to implement that in your city and you have facility for that, let's talk.
That's awesome. That's a great call to action. Please, if you have a way to help Eixsys Healthcare Systems get the word out, to provide services, to partner with providers, everything they just said is a great need right now. And this is your opportunity. If you've never given back, this is your way to step in and do something that's bigger than yourself. And so how can people reach you if they're interested in any of these things? They just put in the comments, or should they reach out to you directly?
Either way would be great. There's information on our website. It's ehsclinics.org. So you can learn about us more there. There's also contact information with a phone number. You can leave comment in the box and we'll be checking it regularly. So either way that is convenient for you guys, we'll be able to accommodate you.
And the website one more time?
Is ehsclinic.org. Or you can just Google Eixsys Healthcare System and we will come up on Google. And there is a website and you can send us in a contact form or you can join our Facebook page. You can comment in this blog, whichever is, that information will come to us. Either Lori, you know how to get a hold of us. You'll say, hey, I know this person there is still coming to me. So there is a way. All you have to do is reach out. There will be a way how we will connect with you.
Absolutely. And if you don't have any of this information and you don't remember, you can always send an email to DunhamBusinessRadio@gmail.com and just say, hey, I want to partner with the healthcare systems people that were on the show, and I will connect you. That's what I do. I connect, promote, solve problems. So any last words to the audience before we sign off from the show?
I just want to mention about, we talked about the HUG project and the $100. Some might question why, what is $100? Like insurance, can they buy insurance or something like that? When they have insurance, there is copay, there is deductible, there is co-insurance, there is out of pocket. So it's just not paying for the premium. There is a lot more to health insurance. This $100, they don't have to pay anything. We cover everything for them in a primary care setting. So that is one thing. And then the last, what I want to make a comment, you don't need to have experienced a tragedy in life, to give back. Think about the future. Something can happen. The future is unknown. I believe in karma. If you do good, something in the future, You never know what doors will open for you. So never hold back on giving back. Be positive. That is something that I encourage myself, and that's what, that's my why, and I keep on encouraging myself. Results are the outcome is not in my hand, right? The work that I do, what I can do, that's in my hand. Result comes as a collective effort, what we do. And the more we are, the outcome will be much more bigger. So I encourage you, to all the listeners, that be positive, encourage others to give back, encourage yourself as well. And doesn't matter which organization, this nonprofit, our nonprofit organization, or anyone. So all of them are in need, and don't hold back.
I love that. I love that for sure. Irina, any last words?
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say that help others to get what they want, and you will get what you want in life. That's how I live, and really just helping others. And it makes it worse at the end, because when you are at the end, how are people going to remember you? Are they going to remember you for your expensive couch and shoes, or for actually good things you've done and people you help? So just, respect everybody's vision of the world. We're all so different. We have different backgrounds. And a lot of times, especially now, there are a lot of arguments, who's right, who's wrong, but we haven't been in other people's shoes. We don't know. So for me, I remind myself constantly not to be judgmental, not to judge, because I don't know what they've been through, and I just respect their opinion, and not everything is an argument. So just be kind to each other, help if you can, and like Amin said, volunteer, donate. It doesn't have to be our organization. We would appreciate any help, but overall, do what's close to your heart. Listen to your heart. Don't forget your brain, but listen to your heart.
I like that. Don't forget your brain, but listen to your heart. That's so important. So I want to, officially thank Amin and Irina for coming on the show today, sharing their vision, sharing their heart with you. If you do want to connect, all the different ways that we talked about, bottom line, just send an email to DunhamBusinessRadio@gmail.com. I'd be happy to connect them with you. Put your comments in. They're going to be monitoring the box over the next couple of days to help engage with you and answer your questions. We can't do this show without you. So I'm so grateful from the bottom of my heart for all of your support of this show. If you want to be a guest on our show and you want to get your message and your why out there to the whole world, we're international. Send an email to DunhamBusinessRadio@gmail.com. Please spread the word. Share this video as soon as it's available. Get the word out. And thank you again for supporting all of our guests. And until next time, stay on top of the world. Thanks again.
Thanks for listening to the Dunham Business Radio Show. Be sure to follow us at Dunham Business Radio and check out DunhamBusinessRadio.com for more info.
I'm on top of the world, now I'm living, and the good just gets better, keeps on giving. Not